Why are airplane engines so huge? Ever wondered why modern airplane engines look like flying skyscrapers strapped to the wings? Their size isn't just for show, it's the result of cutting-edge science built to conquer the skies. During the process of boarding a modern airliner, if you have ever looked out the window, you have most likely noticed something: those enormous engines that are suspended from the wings of the aircraft, giving the impression that they could swallow a whole automobile. In the case of the Boeing 777X, for example, each GE9X engine has a fan diameter of 3.35 meters, which is broad enough for Shaquille O'Neal to dunk a basketball inside with some extra space to spare. Not for the sake of bragging rights, but they are not huge. In point of fact, the size of modern airplanes is one of the primary reasons why they are so fuel efficient, quiet, and capable of transporting passengers halfway across the world on a single tank of fuel. It begs the question, why exactly are airplane engines so vast? To find out, let's take the fan blades off and examine them. The secret is in the air. When it comes to efficiency, bigger is better. More air may be moved by a larger engine at a slower speed, which results in the same amount of thrust being produced as by a smaller engine, but consuming less fuel. This is the fundamental notion. Consider it to be similar to rowing a boat. You have two options. Either row madly with a small paddle, splashing and squandering energy, or use a larger paddle. Making use of a large paddle and moving slowly will allow you to push a greater volume of water with less effort. The fundamental idea behind jet engines is the same. Large diameter turbofans are capable of capturing enormous quantities of air. In contrast to older engines, which accelerate the vehicle quickly, this one is pushed backward in a gentle manner. The plane can go ahead with a greater amount of energy because of the smoother acceleration, which results in less energy being lost due to heat and turbulence, respectively. The bypass ratio, sometimes known as the magic number of modern engines, is present. The bypass ratio is the most important technical notion that underpins this efficiency. It refers to the proportion of cold air that is able to bypass the core of the engine to the hot air that is able to travel through the combustion process. One of the most important sources of thrust in contemporary high-bypass turbofans is not even the combustion of fuel. Rather, it is the enormous fan located at the front of the vehicle. An engine can have a bypass ratio of 10:1, which indicates that the fan will push 10 kilograms of air around the engine for every 1 kilogram of air that is flowing through the combustion process. The increasing size of the engine throughout the years can be attributed to the fact that the bypass ratio is directly proportional to the size of the fan that is required. As an illustration, the GE9X jet engine is one of the most efficient jet engines in the history of the world, since it has a bypass ratio that is greater than 10:1. Giants of silence, how larger engines can be calming to the roar. One thing to keep in mind is that larger engines are not only more efficient, but they also produce less noise. The loudness of older engines was because they released hot exhaust gases at extremely high speeds, which resulted in a piercing and ear-splitting noise. By combining the hot exhaust with vast quantities of cold air that moves more slowly, modern high-bypass engines produce a blend that is more refined and minimizes the amount of noise produced. The use of design advancements, such as chevrons on the engine nozzles, those serrated edges that you sometimes notice, further reduces turbulence at the exhaust, hence reducing the amount of noise produced during takeoff and landing by up to 75% in comparison to older designs. Your window seat in the vicinity of the wing in the year 2025 is a significantly more tranquil experience than it was in the year 1965, changing from featherlight blades to heavy metal blades. Naturally, constructing an engine of this magnitude is not a simple task. A massive fan necessitates the use of heavier components, which may result in the engine being too cumbersome to be useful. What's the answer? The science of materials. The 1990s saw the introduction of carbon fiber composite fan blades, which were lighter and stronger than metal. These blades were initially used in engines such as the GE90. The GE9X and the Trent XWB from Rolls-Royce are only two examples of the mega engines that employ them today. Not only can these blades cut weight, but they are also able to withstand tremendous aerodynamic forces at speeds exceeding 3,000 revolutions per minute, all while maintaining the engine's dependability for thousands of flight hours. When it comes to efficiency, the rise of the gear-driven turbofan is taking place. The design of the geared turbofan is one of the more modern technologies that has been developed. It is not optimal for traditional engines to have the fan and core spinning at the same speed. This is because the core functions most effectively at high revolutions per minute RPM, while the fan operates more efficiently at lower RPM. The addition of a gearbox in between them allows the engineers to slower fan rotation results in increased efficiency and decreased noise. A faster rotation of the core results in improved combustion performance. As a result of this ingenious modification, the Pratt & Whitney PW1000G family, which is put to use on the Airbus A220 and A320neo, has demonstrated a decrease in noise of up to 75% and a reduction in fuel consumption of 16%. From skinny tubes to modern behemoths, here is a quick look back at the past. Imagine the early days of the jet age, since it will help you comprehend how revolutionary today's engines are. In the 1950s and 1960s, the first turbojets and low-bypass turbofans were simply tubular structures made of thin metal. They were noisy, thirsty, and had a small diameter at the time, but they were able to generate thrust by blasting hot gas at supersonic speeds. The 1970s and 1980s saw the introduction of low-bypass turbofans, similar to those used on early Boeing 737s. The bypass ratios were still at about 1:1 or below, despite the fact that they had modest front fans. The GE90 and the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 are two examples of high bypass designs that are prevalent in the 2000s and today. These designs have bypass ratios of 9:1 or higher, diameters that are greater than 3 meters, and thrust outputs that are greater than 110,000 pounds. It is like night and day when it comes to the difference in power, loudness, and efficiency. Just for the sake of appearances, that spiral in the middle? When you look at current jet engines, you might have noticed that the spinner, which is the central cone, has a spiral painted on it. In addition to having a nice appearance, it serves a useful purpose. Ground crews are able to easily observe if an engine is spinning, even when it is not operating, which allows them to avoid coming too close to the engine. The spinning pattern may also serve as a deterrent to birds. There is no denying the fact that airplane engines are enormous due to the laws of physics. It is more efficient to move a large amount of air slowly as opposed to transporting a small amount of air quickly. Fans with a larger following means reduce the amount of fuel used, more discrete operation, and extended range. It's a win-win situation for passengers, airlines, and the environment. Therefore, the next time you board a wide-body jet and look out the window at those enormous turbines, keep in mind that they are not for the sole purpose of impressing you. Your voyage would not be possible without them. They are the unseen giants. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.